'Twas on a dark September night in 1996 that Central Carolina got into an awful fix. When both my kids had gone to bed, there came a driving rain, and so that night our town was hit by Fran the hurricane. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. That rainy night the power went out, the radio wouldn't play, so no one knew a mighty storm was heading straight our way. Louder, louder howled the wind, the trees bent to the gale. Then suddenly we heard a crash, the house did shake and wail. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. My son Ezra's ceiling buckled and he rushed out through his door. The sheetrock broke and water poured in and splattered on his floor. We shivered in the darkness of our wild and shrieking hell. The house we always thought so safe was now a watery shell. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. When we awoke, the windows glowed a most peculiar green. Against everyone, the trees were pressed in an eerie jungle scene. The blue sky shone through Ezra's roof, now a tangle of twisted board. The attic sloshed where I had kept some very important stuff stored. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. The power lines were on the ground, the wires were all downed. The roads were blocked by twisted trees, we couldn't drive around. Then Robbie brought his chainsaw, cutting up the tangled piles, and he told us the ghastly chaos went on for many miles. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. No gas, no news, no radio, no power and no phone. Except for the neighbors close at hand, we surely felt alone. For 2 whole days we lived on crackers, bread and ginger ale. We bathed beside a washed-out bridge, hauled water in a pail. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. Chuck Collycutt climbed on my roof and saw the ruin up there. He sighed, these trees have got to go before it can be repaired. So my friend Loy brought all his trucks and helpers every day. We all pitched in to cut the limbs and cart the wreckage away. That was an awful night. That was an awful night. I found Randy and David, they were carpenters brave and true, and they agreed to fix the mess my roof had gotten to. So day by day the work got done, the trouble did die down. But we will never forget the time the hurricane came to town. That was an awful night. That was an awful night.